Do you have a concept of yourself as a galactic being? Do you have a relationship to a certain planetary system? And just tell me some of your thoughts and views in that realm.
Well, here's something some people are getting wrong. They think, okay, well, I'm from the Pleiadian system, or I'm from the Syrian system, or I'm from this or that. You're not from any of those places. Those might have been your last experience that you had before you came here. That might be the thing that's in your soul memory most recently. But really, all of that stuff is not where you're from. Where people are from is this eternal consciousness that is God. We're all from a singularity, a place where this one being exists. This whole thing is a sea of consciousness, and this sea of consciousness is God's mind. This is God's imagination. Pleiades is in God's imagination, and you had an experience in that solar system as a being there, maybe for, say, 2,500 lifetimes, just like we do here. Maybe a person has been in Syrian systems or whatever, and that was where they were last before they came here. So that might be where some people are getting this idea that I'm from there because that's the last experience they had. Go bigger than that. That is just a playground for God's imagination, really, and a place of self-evolution, that this journey of God, this journey that God is on. God is evolving. God is not just this static, perfect being. It's this being that's evolving, and it does this in its imagination in all these systems and different kinds of realities. There's billions and billions and billions, gazillions of these planets and systems and dimensions with all these different experiences that for God's self. And it creates these personalities in that, well, what if I was in this reality, I was with this name, with this kind of skills and flaws, and this kind of reality works this way, and this is what I need to learn in that reality. Then this is just another story in God's imagination. Every life that's ever been lived, Pleiadian, Syrian, Earth, other dimensions, every life that has ever been lived is actually your life. Every single one, because it's the same one living all these lives. And our galactic origins go beyond galaxies, go before galaxies. And I hope I'm not kind of busting anybody's fantasies here about our galactic origins, but the galactic experience is within this arena that God's consciousness is. You come before galactic experiences, these different places. And I'm going to tell you, they're limitless and multidimensional, and you're living more than one lifetime at this time in many different dimensions and many different realities. And in fact, we have a component in all these parallel Earth realities too. After you leave Earth, after you're done with your lifetimes here, then when you go to the next place, you might be like, well, I'm from the the galactic Earth region, or whatever they might call it, Earthian. I'm an Earthian. And those are my galactic origins. And that happens because it's the last memory you had before you came to this place. I had an experience of realizing myself as a being in another galactic system. I was part of a council that basically we were the rulers of this entire system of systems. It was not just one planet, it was like a whole collection of stars and planets that we were basically there to make sure everything went well. And when things came up, we figured out how to solve those problems. And a lot of our people had come here A lot of our citizens had come here to the Earth plane for this experiment and got stuck. And we were like, some of us as the leaders of these systems were like, well, we're a little bit more skilled, so let's go and see if we can get our people back. And we just got stuck here just like everybody else. And some people were like, don't go, you're the president, you can't go to Earth. That's like going to the front line, and you're actually one of the brains behind the machine or whatever. And but I was like, we gotta rescue our people, and I just came here and joined everybody. So because it's been really underestimated how difficult duality is. Duality is no game. This is the big leagues. And it's easy to be in a system where things are peaceful and going well, to think that you're actually really skilled. But then when you get down in the ditches and you actually really are in that duality, this is advanced level stuff. And this is where God is working out its shadow side, so to speak. And I'm going to tell you what I've seen is that 95% of what God's imagination is doing has nothing to do with duality and the shadow work. It's actually quite beautiful, and it's creativity, and it's exploring all of its potentials. Whereas in this little corner of God's mind, in this little corner of the universe, this is where God's working out its problems. and so we're here doing this, coming from places where it was easier. And that's why we feel like we yearn for home. We yearn to go back to Syria. We yearn to go back to Pleiades or wherever. We yearn to go back to the singularity. We yearn to go back to where it's sane in God's mind, because this is a little bit of God crazy here. This is God's not. It's not just this. People have this idea that God is perfection, and there is a perfection in the singularity. But when exploring potentials, you have to also work out what you don't know. And darkness is not evil. I'm not saying that these are evil parts of God. These are unaware parts of God. The places where everything's easy and everything's sane and everything, it's because God worked that out already. And it's bringing awareness into this darkness, and then it becomes light. And really, darkness is just places of no awareness. It's not evil, it's not bad. It's places of no awareness. And this is an area where God is trying to bring its awareness into, to make it light and to understand these parts of itself that have not matured yet. I know that's a little out there for some people to grok, but I was out of my I left this world. I left this body for 3 days in a coma once, and it was like a 40-year journey on the other side. It was like a whole lifetime, and it was hard. It took a year to adjust coming back, and it wasn't a walk-in or anything like that. I'm still the same one, but I got to look at to see it, how all this works and how all these systems work, and